This is the 1995 Ferrari F50.
Back in 1995, Ferrari had a problem. How could they follow the extreme and extremely wonderful F40? The answer was this, the F50, a road-going Ferrari with the V12 engine from a Formula One car bolted in the back. Except as it turned out, it didn't feel bolted in the back. It felt bolted to your back. As a result, the abiding memory for anyone who drove an F50 wasn't the ferocious acceleration or the 200-mile-an-hour top speed. It was the sense that you'd had a furiously spinning washing machine full of bricks hammering directly into your most sensitive pain receptors. Add in the fact that it liked to bite back in the corners, and what you've got here is actually the recipe for 4.7 litres of total misery. It was a very bad car, and it was ugly. Still, at least it made them try harder with the Enzo.
The Ferrari F50 is equipped with 18-inch magnesium alloy wheels and cast iron disc brakes. The 4.7-litre V12 engine produces 513 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds and achieve a top speed of 202 miles per hour. The electronically controlled suspension can, on the fly, adjust the dampening force from soft to stiff in about 140 milliseconds. That's 2 times faster than the average blink of an eye. At top speed, the F50 produces over 950 pounds of downforce thanks to its state-of-the-art flat-bottom undertray and F1-derived rear wing. That's more than the much newer Porsche Carrera GT. The rear-wheel drive Ferrari F50 features a 6-speed manual transmission. For its time, the F50's instrument cluster was considered very high-tech because of its 8-bit microcomputer. Compare that to the exponentially more advanced 64-bit processor in the Xbox 360. This is the 2010 Gumpert Apollo S.
Naming a car company after yourself is fine if you're called Ferrari or Pagani or Lamborghini or even Morgan. It's not such a good idea if your last name is something stupid like Shufflebottom or Death. Unfortunately, this is advice that was ignored by a German man called Roland Gumpert. And here is the result: the Gumpert Apollo S. However, despite the stupid name, when this strange-looking car came to our test track, it lapped quicker than anything, including the original Veyron. But then that's not entirely surprising when you learn that it's basically a racing car with headlights and a twin-turbo Audi V8 that in basic tune makes 650 horsepower. That's enough for 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds and a top speed of 223. Better yet, there's the option to tweak it up to 800 horsepower. And plans are afoot to launch a version with 1,000 horsepower. So that's the Gumpert Apollo. Silly name, serious car.
For safety, the front end utilizes an F1-inspired crash box. This aluminum section bolts directly onto the frame, absorbing impact energy into its cardboard-style corrugated design. The Gumpert Apollo S is equipped with 19-inch center-lock aluminum alloy wheels and slotted brakes. The Apollo S is the brainchild of motorsports veteran Roland Gumpert. During his tenure as head of Audi Sport, the team won 25 World Rally events and 4 World Rally Championships. The twin-turbocharged 4.2-litre V8 engine produces 691 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds and achieve a top speed of around 200 miles per hour. The only storage space in the Apollo is a 3.5 cubic foot compartment in the engine bay. However, its close proximity to the exhaust system puts its cargo at risk of heating up. The sport's suspension package includes a pneumatic system to lift the car. Air jacks like this are traditionally only found in pure race cars, where they're needed for quick tire changes. The cabin is built on a carbon safety cell, which weighs just 50 pounds and features molded seating buckets rather than traditional seats. Its racing steering wheel is detachable for quick entry and exit. The The rear-wheel drive Comfort Apollo S features a 6-speed sequential transmission. This is the 2006 Hummer H1 Alpha. The H1 Alpha may weigh twice as much as the average pickup truck, but its double wishbone suspension and 16-inch ground clearance help it manage rough terrain with ease.
There's a famous scene from the first Gulf War when a convoy of Humvees enters a minefield. One of them hits a mine, gets blown clean in the air, lands on all four wheels, and continues on. That is not possible in a Land Rover. It was at this moment that the Hummer legend was born. And someone quickly figured out that there were enough crazed gym enthusiasts in California to justify making the Humvee available to non-military types. Fitting the Humvee into civvies meant replacing the 6.5-litre Detroit diesel engine with a 6.6-litre GM Duramax. And since this engine made just 300 horsepower in a car that weighs more than most houses, it was often quicker to walk to the shops than use the Hummer. Still, if between you and the shops was a 22-inch obstacle to be cleared, or a puddle 30 inches deep, or a minefield, the Hummer H1 was the car for you. These turned out to be obstacles that most people don't face, and as a result, the H1 Alpha was discontinued after just over a year.
The Hummer H1 Alpha is equipped with 17-inch alloy wheels and inboard mounted brakes. This is no common grocery-getter SUV. With an armored underbody and the ability to push through nearly 3 feet of standing water, the H1 Alpha has extreme off-road capabilities. The 6.6-litre turbo diesel V8 engine produces 300 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 13.5 seconds and achieve a towing capacity in excess of 9,000 pounds. The H1 Alpha is based on the Humvee all-purpose military vehicle. The US Army has used the Humvee in battle for decades, often equipping it with some serious weaponry, even anti-aircraft missiles. Fuel mileage for the 4-ton H1 Alpha averages in at 11 miles per gallon. Luckily, it's also equipped with 2 large fuel tanks, good for holding over 50 gallons. For maximum control over different terrains, drivers can use the central tire inflation system to adjust tire pressure up or down on the fly, without even having to stop and get out. This is the 2013 Hyundai Veloster Turbo. With a twin-scroll turbocharger, the 1.6-litre inline-4 produces a wide power band. Technology, such as direct fuel injection, enables it to travel up to 38 miles per gallon. Hyundai is the world's fastest-growing automaker, and this is their newest achievement, the Hyundai Veloster Turbo. Drawing on their experience in the world of racing, the Veloster Turbo features some of the same upgrades over the standard model as Rhys Millen's Veloster rally cars. His Velosters are kitted out with turbocharged 500 horsepower engines, lightweight carbon Kevlar bodies, and custom suspensions to handle the bumps and bruises of the most punishing rally cross course. Racing is in the Millen family's DNA. Both Rhys and his father Rod have entered the famed Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Rod set the overall fastest time there in 1994, holding that record for 13 years. In 2009, Rhys posted the best ever run in time attack two-wheel drive class with his Genesis Coupe. Rod drove the same Genesis to an even quicker time 2 years later. 2011 was also the second time that Rhys and his team entered the Unlimited class. Their purpose-built PM580 is propelled by a turbocharged Hyundai V6, making over 700 horsepower. The Hyundai Veloster Turbo is equipped with 18-inch alloy wheels and four-wheel disc brakes. The Veloster features a unique three-door design. The additional door is on the passenger side, allowing uncompromised rear seat access even in close-quarters parking spaces. The BlueLink Hyundai telematics system contains an abundance of navigation and communication features and can even be controlled with voice recognition. The large LCD touchscreen can be used with an integrated rear-view camera to display photos and video from smartphones, or even play games on your Xbox 360. The front-wheel drive Hyundai Veloster Turbo features a 6-speed manual transmission. This is the 2006 Koenigsegg CCX.
The Koenigsegg CCX holds a special place in Top Gear history. For a long time, it was the fastest car around our track. To this day, it has the longest name of any car on our lap board. And it's the only car the Stig has ever stuffed. Stig's accident wasn't small, but then it wouldn't be with a 900 horsepower, twin supercharged, 4.5-litre V8 pushing him towards the tyre wall. But in a straight line, that power also means speed. 245 miles an hour to be exact, and that's not far off what a Veyron can do. Except, of course, a Veyron has a huge wing on it as standard, and a Koenigsegg, as Stig found out, does not. Or at least it didn't until Stiggy's accident, after which it became an option for any owner who didn't fancy ruining the inside of their underpants. Even someone as fast and as brave as Stig would be wise to choose it.
The origin of the Koenigsegg emblem can be traced back to the 16th century. Its red and yellow shield pattern comes from the ancient coat of arms of the medieval Koenigsegg family. The Koenigsegg CCX is equipped with 20-inch carbon fiber and magnesium rear wheels and carbon ceramic disc brakes. The carbon fiber doors are unlike those of any other car, sliding out and rotating up on unique dihedral synchrohelix hinges. Thanks to hydraulic dampers, the doors open and close with just the slightest push. The supercharged 4.7-litre V8 engine produces 806 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and achieve a top speed of over 242 miles per hour. The electronically adjustable suspension features a long double wishbone layout for added traction on uneven roads. The design was rigorously tested on Koenigsegg's own factory test track. The similar CCR model once held the top speed record for production cars. Their flat underbody and sleek shape brings aerodynamic drag to a minimum and helps them achieve incredible speeds. As if the standard magnesium wheels weren't light enough, the CCX can also be equipped with innovative carbon fiber rim wheels. The added cost for these is a whopping $17,000. Unlike many low-production manufacturers, Koenigsegg spares no expense on creating its interiors entirely from scratch. Even the switches, dials and gauges are made exclusively for the CCX. The rear-wheel drive Koenigsegg CCX features a 6-speed manual transmission. This is the 2008 Lamborghini Rebenton.
If you think the Lamborghini Murcielago isn't rare or special enough, this is the car for you. It's called the Rebenton. And if you think it looks like an F-22 Raptor stealth fighter, you'd be right. That was the idea. Except on the Raptor, all the strange surfaces and matte black paint are meant to make it look more discreet. But this car is a Lamborghini, and Lamborghini doesn't know the meaning of discreet. Certainly there's nothing even remotely discreet about the monstrous 6.5-litre, 640 horsepower V12. Firing that up is like strapping a unicorn to the roof and driving around shouting, "Look at me!" through a loud hailer. Mind you, frankly, you've more chance of seeing a unicorn than seeing a Rebenton, because Lamborghini made just 20 of them. Although if you do see one, you'll almost certainly remember it.
The Lamborghini Rebenton is equipped with 18-inch black aluminum wheels with carbon fiber fins and carbon ceramic disc brakes. The highly engineered Rebenton looks like a stealth fighter jet without the wings. Its sharply chiseled form produces very low aerodynamic drag, helping it slice through the air like a surgical blade. The 6.5-litre V12 engine produces 641 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds and achieve a top speed in excess of 211 miles per hour. Aside from the roof and door panels, the Rebenton is skinned entirely in carbon fiber composite. The final touch for the limited edition supercar is a custom matte grey-green paint job. No Lamborghini flagship would be complete without the signature scissor-style Lambo doors. This dramatic design element was created by Marcello Gandini and has become a hallmark of Lamborghini's supercars. The Rebenton's all-business interior is alight with cockpit-inspired instrumentation, reinforcing its fighter jet influence. The fully digital display completely rethinks traditional dials and gauges. The all-wheel drive Lamborghini Rebenton features a 6-speed paddle shift transmission. This is the 1993 McLaren F1.
Before the Bugatti Veyron, there was this, the 241-mile-an-hour McLaren F1. Despite its similar top speed, the McLaren F1 is the very opposite of the Veyron. No turbochargers, no four-wheel drive, no traction control, no ABS, and no flappy paddle electronically controlled gearbox. In spirit, the McLaren is closer to a Caterham than a Bugatti. A Caterham with a gold-plated engine compartment. It was built without compromise, and nothing was to get in the way of the driving experience. That's why the driver sits in the middle, so they feel completely in control. McLaren was so determined to use this layout, they even had the law changed to make it possible. Then there's the 627 brake horsepower 6.1-litre V12 engine, built specially for this car by a crack team of BMW Motorsport engineers, and the bespoke gearbox and a body made of carbon fibre. We take that for granted in supercars now, but back in the early 90s, it was so extraordinary they might as well have made it from lumps of Jupiter. Personally, I've never cared that much for the F1. It was too twitchy. But without it, Bugatti wouldn't have had something to aim for, and we wouldn't have had the incredible Veyron. In that respect, we owe McLaren our thanks.
Extensive wind tunnel testing played a large role in the F1's staggering top speed of 243 miles per hour. This production car record would not be broken for another 12 years. When building a car for speed, every ounce matters. From the titanium onboard toolkit to the custom lightweight CD player, even the accessories play a part in keeping the weight down. The McLaren F1 is equipped with 17-inch, center-locking, magnesium 5-spoke wheels and cross-drilled steel brakes. In true supercar style, the F1's doors are designed to turn heads. They flip open and upward, earning them the term butterfly doors. At high speeds, downforce is vital to stop the car from becoming airborne. At the flick of a switch, the F1 provides this by activating a dynamic spoiler that also diverts cool air to the brakes. The gold-lined engine bay isn't just for show. With a high-performance BMW V12 behind the cockpit, the shielding helps protect the carbon fiber body panels by keeping temperatures down. Racing is in McLaren's DNA. 4 decades of Formula One experience and the most successful Le Mans debut of any manufacturer have made the McLaren name synonymous with motorsports. The F1's driver-oriented central seating arrangement is unprecedented for production cars, placing the driver right in the center of the car, ideal for control, feedback, and visibility on the racetrack. The rear-wheel drive McLaren F1 features a 6-speed manual transmission. This is the 2005 Mercedes-Benz SLR.
This is the greatest Anglo-German cooperation since, ever. It's the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren. From Germany, the big badge on the front, and the 5.4-litre supercharged V8 that gives this car 626 horsepower and a top speed of 208 miles an hour. From England comes the grey and silver, biros in the top pocket, engineering know-how of the McLaren F1 team, who came up with the carbon fibre body and built the whole thing in their Surrey factory. As you might imagine, the marriage between these two companies from these two nations was not easy. Mercedes insisted the SLR had to be front-engined and look exactly like this. McLaren insisted this was not ideal for a supercar. Mercedes wanted a comfortable, well-equipped cruiser. McLaren wanted a hardcore, lightweight racer. The two sides couldn't even agree on what the SLR sounded like at full chat. Mercedes said it was like a Messerschmitt. The British reckoned it was more like a Spitfire. Yet, despite the disagreements, the end result was a very fine car. Monstrously fast and loud when you drove like you'd sat on a bee, yet relaxed and easy to live with when you didn't. The only real problem were the carbon brakes, which worked like a switch. But whatever, the SLR is dead now and the two firms behind it have gone their separate ways. Although strangely, Mercedes now make the SLS, a hardcore cruiser, and McLaren the MP4 12C, a civilized supercar, which is somehow slightly ironic.
The Mercedes-Benz SLR is equipped with 19-inch turbine aluminum alloy wheels and carbon fiber reinforced ceramic disc brakes. McLaren Automotive has had years of F1 racing success working with Mercedes-Benz engines. While the SLR is a street car, many of its innovations are directly inspired by McLaren's formidable race cars. The 5.4-litre supercharged V8 engine produces 617 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds and achieve a top speed of 207 miles per hour. The side exit exhausts not only provide dramatic looks and ferocious sound, they save weight by reducing pipe length. This also allows for a smooth, aerodynamic underbody, essential for stability at speed. With premium leather and an abundance of high-tech features, the cabin is fittingly luxurious. However, the AMG speed-shift transmission hints at this supercar's performance potential. The rear-wheel drive Mercedes-Benz SLR features a 5-speed automatic transmission. This is the 2010 Morgan Aero Supersport.
This cross-eyed curiosity is a Morgan Aero Supersports. As with all Morgans, much of the structure is made from wood. And if that sounds laughably old-fashioned, well, it is. It's also still made in the Malvern Hills of England in a factory so caught in the past that when a propeller aircraft passes overhead, half the workforce jumps. Surprisingly, the engine in this car isn't made from mud and leaves. It's actually a BMW V8 that makes a rather modern 368 horsepower, allowing this half-timbered sports car to get from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It'll even run on to 170 miles an hour before its Edwardian aerodynamics prevent it going any faster. I said sports car, but in truth, this is as much a sports car as Westminster Abbey is a top-class rock and roll venue. This isn't a car to compete with modern Jaguars or Mercs or anything beyond. It's a strange time warp for people who believe cars should come with built-in nostalgia and a special kind of hat. And if that hasn't put you off the Aero Supersports, you should know that there's also a version with a fixed roof, one of which is owned by Richard Hammond. The idiot.
The Morgan Aero SS is equipped with 19-inch aluminum alloy wheels and AP racing brakes. The 4.8-litre V8 engine produces 362 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds and achieve a top speed in excess of 170 miles per hour. The Aero SS makes select use of tried and true parts from other manufacturers, including Lancia-sourced taillights. More significantly, the lively V8 engine and ZF transmission come courtesy of the BMW 5 Series. The rear-wheel drive Morgan Aero SS features a 6-speed Tiptronic transmission. Completely unique among modern vehicles, Morgan cars include largely handmade wooden frames. The ash hardwood laminate is lightweight and surprisingly strong. With one of the most customizable interiors on the market, the Aero SS is often a truly one-of-a-kind creation. In fact, the concept version's cabin even boasted a champagne holder option. This is the 2009 Pagani Zonda Cinque Roadster.
The Pagani Zonda, a car which proves that in Italy you can wake up one morning, drink one too many espressos, tell the world you're going to make a car as fast and as good as a Ferrari, and then actually go ahead and do it. This particular version, one of a baffling array of Zondas over the years, is the Cinque, a road-going version of the feral, track-only Zonda R. It's always puzzled us at Top Gear how Pagani makes its cars so good. Yes, they put in the effort by inventing a new cocktail of carbon fibre and titanium called carbotanium. And they managed to persuade Merck's power-crazed AMG division to build them special V12 engines. But that's not enough on its own. What Pagani really understand is that a supercar should be loud and dramatic and fast enough to make your eyeballs turn to putty. They also make cars that are incredibly easy to drive. Many men in sheds try to make supercars and they get it wrong. But Pagani, as we see here, consistently gets it right. Very, very right.
The Pagani Zonda Cinque is equipped with 20-inch magnesium and aluminum center-lock rear wheels and carbon ceramic disc brakes. The Cinque may be flashy, but that radical body shape is pure function. It produces over 1,600 pounds of downforce at 186 miles per hour, the most of any road-going Pagani. Horacio Pagani left Argentina to become Lamborghini's cutting-edge materials expert. He now carries out his love for carbon composites and high-tech materials in his own cars. The Cinque uses a double A-arm suspension design, with Öhlins developed titanium springs and shock absorbers. This use of strong, lightweight materials is a hallmark of Pagani vehicles. The 7.3-litre V12 engine produces 678 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds and achieve a top speed of 217 miles per hour. The Cinque may be flashy, but that... The rear-wheel drive Pagani Zonda Cinque features a 6-speed paddle shift transmission. While carbon fiber can now be seen in many cars, it is often just used for aesthetic reasons. The Cinque's exposed carbon fiber interior, however, is actually part of the car's structure. While carbon fiber... This is the 2009 Peugeot Sport number 9 Total 908.
If you like your racing cars to sound like a god of thunder treading on a drawing pin, you won't like the noise made by this, Peugeot's Le Mans winning 908, because it sounds rather like a vacuum cleaner. And the reason for this is because it runs on diesel. As dreary news goes, though, this isn't as bad as it could be, because the diesel engine in question is a 5.5-litre twin-turbo V12 with 730 horsepower and nearly 900 torques. That is a lot. And it means that even with a wing the size and length of a cocktail bar on the back, it can still reach over 250 miles an hour on the long Le Mans straights. The combination of speed and the fewer pit stops demanded by diesel economy mean Peugeot was a dead cert to win the 24-hour race in 2007. Except it didn't, because Audi fetched up with a diesel car that was even faster and even more reliable. The French plan didn't quite work in 2008 either, but by 2009, Peugeot got their act together to take a 1-2 Le Mans finish. Normal service was resumed in 2010.
The 908 is equipped with 18-inch forged magnesium rear wheels and carbon ceramic disc brakes. The key to endurance racing isn't just speed. It's keeping the car running cool and trouble-free at full throttle hour after hour. For this, each 908 features 2 intercoolers, 2 oil coolers, and 2 radiators. In 2005, Peugeot announced its intent to create a prototype race car to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. With decades of diesel experience, the HDI engine was an obvious choice when designing the 908. The twin-turbo 5.5-litre V12 engine produces 700 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds and achieve a top speed of 210 miles per hour. Thanks to over 500 hours of wind tunnel testing, the 908 can produce twice its own weight in downforce at 200 miles per hour. This means the 908 is capable, theoretically, of driving upside down. At the 2009 Le Mans race, 3 908s flew across the finish line after 24 nerve-wracking hours. This moment marked an historic 1-2 victory for the Peugeot team. The steering wheel serves as control center in the 908. All functions are at the driver's fingertips, including a wheel-mounted LCD screen that displays RPM and other critical vehicle information. The interior of the 908 is all business. Due to two-person cockpit rules, the 908 has room for a passenger, although this space is usually filled with racing equipment rather than an actual seat. This is the 2010 Spiker C8 La Violette LM85.
Spiker was a Dutch company that went out of business in 1925, apparently. Don't worry, I didn't know that either. I'd never heard of Spiker, nor its financial troubles, nor even that there was a motor industry in Holland. I'd always assumed they had other industries to be getting on with, like flowers or cheese. But then, a Dutch millionaire got bored with having too much money and bought Spiker back with cars like this, the C8 La Violette LM85. It has a 4.2-litre V8 engine from Audi and a chassis that was developed with help from Lotus. But the really interesting thing about Spikers is the way they look, which is like nothing else, and their interiors, which are like something else, although in most cases that something else is an explosion in one of those shops that sells jewelry and expensive luggage. Spiker's millionaire owner says that's what people want, and presumably he's right. Because when most restarted car companies fail within 7 minutes, Spiker is now doing so well, it recently bought Saab.
The Spiker C8 La Violette is equipped with 19-inch Diamag Aeroblade alloy wheels and AP racing brakes. The C8's air intakes may look striking, but they're not just for show. Handcrafted from aluminum, they provide cooling to both the engine and the brakes. Having competed both in F1 and at Le Mans, Spiker punches well above its weight. The company's trademark bold orange paint is a celebration of Dutch racing pride. It may be a road car, but Spiker's racing background clearly influenced the C8's design. F1-inspired horizontal suspension keep the wheels planted to the road at high speed. It may be a road... You don't have to look far to see clues of Spiker's aviation heritage. The C8's turned aluminum instrument panel wouldn't look out of place in the cockpit of a classic aircraft. The rear-wheel drive Spiker C8 La Violette features a 6-speed manual transmission. This is the 2005 TVR Cigaris.
Eventually, all TVRs will break down, and now so has the company that made them. That's a shame. Nothing was a bad idea at TVR. They tried to reinvent the door handle. They made front wings that appear to have been attacked by a mad axeman. They got the company dog to help with the styling. Obviously, there was no guarantee that your TVR would start of a morning, and even less of a guarantee that once it was going, it wouldn't attempt to fling you into a field of sprouts. But the insanity was just part of what made TVRs so special. Given their inability to make anything work properly, it was yet another example of their madness that they made their own 4-litre straight-six engine. Still, in a car this light, it meant 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds and a top speed of 185 miles an hour. TVRs were the snorting, grunting, swivel-eyed lunatics of the car world, and were somehow worse off without them.
The TVR Cigaris is equipped with 18-inch, 7-spoke, aluminum alloy wheels and cross-drilled disc brakes. A transparent plexiglass spoiler does more than preserve an aggressive silhouette. It improves rear visibility for the driver while generating downforce to improve traction and handling. Shifting color paint is one of the more unusual options available on the Cigaris. The distinctive finish accentuates one of two colors depending on the viewing angle. It may be a production car, but the Cigaris was built with the track in mind. An asymmetrical roof design gives the driver enough room to sit comfortably while wearing a helmet. The 4-litre inline-six engine produces 406 horsepower. This helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds and achieve a top speed of over 185 miles per hour. The rear-wheel drive TVR Cigaris features a 5-speed manual transmission. TVR style, nothing in the cockpit is where you'd expect it to be. Door and window controls are found next to the radio, rather than in their traditional locations on the doors. This is the 2013 Viper GTS. The Viper project began in the late 1980s, when a Chrysler employee was inspired to create a new version of the Shelby Cobra. Along with a raw sports car experience, Vipers maintain the venomous snake theme of the original. A group of enthusiastic engineers assembled to become Team Viper. This team later created high-performance versions of other Chrysler vehicles and eventually became known as the Street and Racing Technology Development Team. Another group involved in the development of the first Viper was Lamborghini. Owned by Chrysler at the time, their expertise was used to critique the engine design and build prototype V10s. When the concept car was unveiled in 1989, it created enough public interest to propel the Dodge Viper to a wildly successful 1992 debut. Vipers have been hand-built at the Connor Avenue Assembly Plant in Detroit since 1996. They receive multi-position suspension alignment and dynamic testing, appropriate for a high-performance vehicle. The 2013 Viper utilizes magnesium in the dash structure and carbon fiber in its hood, roof and liftgate. Combining these lightweight materials with the tremendously potent V10 engine gives it an excellent power-to-weight ratio. Vipers have always been intimidating exotics to drive on the street or racetrack, with more than a few coiled up in wrecks. For the first time in history, this new generation Viper has electronic driving aids, making its performance more accessible than ever. The Viper GTS is equipped with 19-inch 5-spoke forged aluminum rear wheels and slotted disc brakes. The body panel's dramatic shapes are also functional. Computational fluid dynamics and extensive wind tunnel development ensure stability, while intakes behind the side windows cool the rear brakes. Dual side pipes help create a characteristic exhaust note. They have appeared on most versions of the Viper, tracing back to the concept car and the Cobra that inspired it. The 8.4-litre V10 engine helps the car reach 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds and achieve a top speed of 206 miles per hour. The suspension can be adjusted easily from the driver's seat by pressing a button. This range of stiffness allows daily usability and on-track performance. With features such as connected media center, a customizable gauge cluster, and a double bubble roof for helmet room, the interior blends comfort with performance. The rear-wheel drive Viper GTS features a 6-speed manual transmission.
The 2554 M12 Force Application Vehicle, Warthog. The M12 Force Application Vehicle, better known as the Warthog, is a highly mobile and adaptable platform serving the UNSC. Famed for its toughness and sturdy design, stories about hogs surviving numerous tours of active combat duty abound. But none is more well known than the tale of the Daedalus. Near the beginning of the Covenant War, the UNSC frigate Daedalus went down in atmosphere over the planet Galgaliel, smashing into the irradiated world's high-gravity surface. The ship's molten wreckage was scattered for hundreds of miles, an unsurvivable event. And yet, 4 Warthogs had, in fact, survived the impact. Marines from the motor pool had buckled themselves into the Hog's seats as the frigate plummeted to the surface. Strapped to the ship's deck, incredibly, the vehicles remained intact. Due to the security restrictions of the Cole Protocol, the Marines would wait months for aid. To survive, they used the Hogs to desalinate water and search for food. And they even programmed their radios to broadcast the distress signal that eventually led to their rescue. The M12 FAV is equipped with 20-inch magnesium alloy wheels and powerful 14-inch carbon ceramic disc brakes. All military Warthogs are coated with a programmable nanoprismatic paint to refract color at any chromacity depending on the vehicle's destination. A security bit was designed to prevent Marines from tinkering with the finish based on early and embarrassing experiences of the tech's deployment. The Warthog's independent swing-arm suspension is tuned for relatively low speeds and, depending on the vehicle's loadout, for hard braking, high G-forces, and variable centers of gravity. As with most UNSC vehicles, the Warthog is equipped with a Graf-Hauptmann solar saline actuator. This enables Marines to crack hydrogen fuel from any water source, reducing the need to transport bulky and dangerous fuel supplies. The rear section of the Warthog can be configured to any number of purposes, including troop transport and weapons platforms. The versatile Hog sees daily use as everything from a mobile machine gun to an ambulance. The Hog's massive tires feature a reactive tread pattern that provides astonishing traction on nearly any surface. Burst-proof nanotube construction gives these tires similar buoyancy to their gas pocket counterparts with one key benefit. They're practically indestructible. The M12 uses a dependable, low-profile, 12-liter hydrogen-injected ICE power plant. In standard 1G environments, the Hog has a maximum range of 490 miles before it needs to refuel. It can achieve a top speed of 78 miles per hour, no matter the terrain. Interior features vary depending on how the vehicle is purposed by AMG's factories, but standard controls include manual shifters and a steering-linked e-brake. A driver skilled in the use of this cutting brake can turn the hog on a dime. The four-wheel drive, four-wheel steering M12 FAV features a manual shifted transmission and a steering-linked emergency brake.